I think it's really important to know your why, because if you don't, you're gonna go through hell to build a business. There's a lot of tough days, especially early on.
I agree with everything you said.
Do I like every aspect of what we do? No. But overall, I find a lot of fulfillment in what I do, and what we're building and the brand we're building fits me.
We're about to go regional, and we're way more attracted to starting than buying.
I'm very open to acquisition for the right opportunity, especially family-owned brands that want to sell to another family brand. Last summer, when I would have been looking, I didn't see anything worth buying.
Someone's launching a business. What's the big piece of advice you're going to give them as they go to launch a home service brand?
Well,
welcome back to Owned and Operated. I'm your host, John Wilson. During the day, I run a $30 million home service company in Akron, Ohio. And for fun, I run this podcast showing other people how to basically do the same thing. It's a lot of fun, and I'm super glad you joined me today. Today on the show, we have Tyler Griffin from Swift Pro Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing in DC. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks, John. Great to be here.
Yeah, this is gonna be fun. I think you've got a compelling story. It's interesting. It's like a startup. It's fast growing. It's good. So I'm excited to like double click on this. I'd love it if you just started off a little bit with like, give me the 60-second Tyler.
Sure. Well, one thing I figured out in the reset period, which we'll talk about before I started Swift Pro, is I'm wired to build things.
Yeah.
And if I don't find healthy outlets that I can use my pent up creative energy and kind of love of chaos, I will create chaos.
Yeah.
So I like to channel that into productive things. Yeah. I'm going to make mayhem somehow. Yeah. So I might as well do it building something that matters. Right. Yeah. And so entrepreneurial endeavors are the perfect outlet for that.
Yeah. So you're right now, you're in HVAC plumbing.
Yep.
What was your previous background?
Yeah, so I've been in the trades my whole life. Grew up in rural Wisconsin. At 13, we bought a barn, turned it into a house.
Oh, nice.
And I was homeschooled, so our school for a couple of months was doing that project. So grew up in the trades, also working on farms. Out of high school, started doing construction of all types. Building houses from scratch, everything. So learned the trades at a young age. Moved out to the East Coast in 2010 with my wife and then one son. At that time, got a job swinging a hammer for a little bit, then applied for a startup company and applied for a job there as like a laborer or whatever. And they're like, we think you'd be a better fit in sales. I'm like, I've never did sales before.
Yeah.
It's 26.
Let's give it a shot. Yeah.
And so they're like, well, here's a truck, run 5 appointments with this guy. They had no sales process, no training, but here, just watch him for 5 appointments and I'll go sell stuff. And so I did. And they kind of did everything pretty much, not HVAC actually, but everything else nearly in a house. And so
like
we did roofing, siding, windows, but we'd also do renovations, bathrooms, kitchens, anything that we could sell. Pretty much. We kind of just did the GC thing for a while. More roofing, but plenty of other stuff. And then I ended up getting really good at kind of the design build side of things.
Yeah.
So I was with that company for a good run there from about 2010 to 2016.
Okay.
And in that time, it became a partner on the design build side and learned that I didn't want to do that long term. It's just very, very stressful. And at the time, low margins. We were just focusing on the wrong demographic. But transitioned out of that, joined another company in 2016, American Home Contractors, that I worked I was there for about 8 years. So first year, just joined the sales team. And then in 2017, first drove back and forth from Maryland, but then moved to Northern Virginia, opened up a brand under their name, basically, bought in as a partner, and started building from the ground up. And so we built a good sized team there over a few years.
And what was the industry?
Roofing, siding, windows, and then eventually we got into solar as well. Okay. So we had
similar to the GC, like touching a lot.
But we narrowed it more so. We wouldn't do anything inside the house aside from maybe drywall repair, right? Or occasional insulation. But we didn't touch any remodeling projects. It was just exteriors, right? Yeah. Is what we focused on, not even really decks or anything like that. It was mostly what could be done in a day, generally. That was kind of our rule of thumb. Project in a day type of thing. So we had a really good run, a lot of building years, built a good sized company, had a great team. And then we sold in 22 to a private equity group. I stayed on for almost 2 years, and then transitioned out in February of 2024.
Yeah.
Took a little bit of time to figure out what was next, and ended up doing a 6-month sabbatical, which was really a key time with my family, just kind of hitting the reset button, figuring out what we wanted to do next, what I wanted to do next. You know, I had just turned 40. And so it was like, all right, big kind of life decisions. Considered things like coaching and consulting, just taking partnering up with somebody else in an existing company, or doing like sales management, whatever. There's a lot of different options, plenty of people that were interested.
I mean, that's like the hard thing about selling. I mean, you read all these, like the post-sale dilemma of like, like it's so much of my value, right? Like how I think of myself is like, well, I built this business for the last decade. Like that's like a core part of who I am as a human.
Right.
And obviously I need to work on that.
Yeah.
But like it is hard. I think the transition is hard from what I'm told. So it sounds like that was
the last couple of years were difficult there too. There's just a lot of transitions after we got acquired. It was a bit of a painful ending. And so that was tough. So we took some time because we didn't want to react to that and make a decision hastily.
Which I think I'm really glad a lot of people do.
Yeah, we did a bunch of family traveling, one global trip for 23 days out of the country, visiting places like Rome and Greece. That was awesome with the family, a road trip, to Wisconsin, where I'm originally from. So just did a lot. I went to the Oshkosh Air Show first time ever. Cool. That was amazing. Cool. So just a lot of memories made with the family during that time, which were great. And then, I figured out during that time that, man, I'm wired to build stuff. And even like at the 5-month mark, I could hardly control myself anymore. I'm like, I got to freaking build something. So August, we were already laying the groundwork. I had formed a couple, kind of a couple entities in May. Yeah. And I had come up with a name and a concept. And then just over the next several months confirmed what I wanted to do next, which was going to be the focus on HVAC, and then HVAC and plumbing kind of became what the focus was. Yeah. And so, we kind of got the ball rolling late August, officially soft launch September, and then 2 months before we kind of got real revenue numbers, but started building the team there in September. Just me and one other guy that had a background in the HVAC industry that shut down his smaller business to join with me and be our first full-time team member.
Yeah. Tight deadlines, breakdowns, last-minute jobs. That is just the life in the trades. And that's why we trust WeSupplyTrades.com. They're family-owned, and with nearly a century in business, they stock thousands of HVAC, plumbing, and hydronics parts from brands that you already use. They're shipped fast and even same day if you order by 3:30 Eastern. With a free pro membership, you'll get better pricing, free shipping over $99, and real experts who actually know the field. Get 20% off your first order with the code OWNED20 at the link below. We Supply Trades, finally a supplier who actually gets it. I want to click a little bit on the acquisition. Yeah. I don't think we talk to many people on the show who have been like most people are building in some format. We've had a few people that did it, but like not much. So are you open to talk about it for a couple minutes?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like what's the decision look like? Hey, it's time. Like was it like dynamic? Was it like we timed the market? Like, if someone out there is like, hey, maybe this is the right time. Like, how did you guys get comfortable with that?
Well, it was challenging, I think, for us. So there was multiple partners involved. One of the partners was older, and kind of looking for that off ramp.
Yes.
The challenge, I think, was that you think at the start that success is going to solve everything. Success actually creates additional complexity. Yeah.
Like personally or professionally or both?
Well, I'm talking about business success. Like you grow something large and it's like, all right, let's just make a bunch of money. Let's build a very great business. But then you have a lot of decisions to make, right? Yeah. And you have different time horizons, different goals. And so I think goal alignment's huge. And those conversations need to happen on the front end. And you just, of course, I was just trying to build something, right? Yeah. So I didn't know what I didn't know. And so that played into the decision though, right? Is like, okay, this is a way for us to create options for everyone. Yeah. And I had intended to stay on and help build. That was the original intention. And for various reasons that didn't work out past, again, just under 2 years. Yeah. But I think that's part of the decision. And so if you have good goal alignment, and then it's like, what is your end goal? Are you building it just to cash out? Are you building a legacy business? And so so the reset for me was really good on getting to my why, getting to what I care about, like what really matters in this next go around. So I could do it with a lot of intentionality. I'm really thankful for that experience. I learned a ton. I do think overall,
like in the experience of like going through a
and getting a lens into that world, the private equity world. And again, I think that we sold to one of the better groups. I think there's a lot of good people on that team. But I do think it's important to understand what private equity is, because in some ways it gets this reputation as sort of this ruthless corporate, side of it. And there's truth to that though, because at the end of the day, you're going to do whatever it takes to get that EBITDA to grow, to get your multiple up, to be able to get the next exit, right? And that's just a reality. Now, what you can gain from that, what I learned a lot about was efficiencies, performance, just really kind of driving growth. And then it was funny, once it wasn't our money, like I also saw close up some really strategic risks taking, massive investment. We grew so fast, once we kind of put the gas down, I was like, wow, we could have done this before, So I learned some things even that I've applied now with this, with Swift Pro, that I just learned by watching, right? And no two pathways are ever the same, but you can learn principles, you can see. So I feel like I did learn a lot, and it was a good lens. And say they're still going on to build a great platform.
Yeah. One of the things we've thought about doing over time is we think it'd be fun to raise. And like, I think choosing the right partners, like the complicated part, but how many, when I think just about my own life, like how many opportunities will I have as a human being to build $1 billion business?
Sure.
And I think we have one here. And I think that is like, I should probably do that.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, I think it's sort of, if you're given the possibility of something, like if you don't do it, like who didn't get that possibility that could have executed? So,
right.
I feel like you have a response, not you, but like, that's how I feel about myself is, hey, I've been given this opportunity. I have a responsibility to do it for all the people that did not get this opportunity.
Right.
Which could be ridiculous, but, it's intimidating because who's the partner, who's the right partner, what's the right structure? Like, how do you make this work in a way that is a win?
Yeah. And that's where I think too often the exit is focused more so on the multiple and the money side of things. And I think the values alignment is the most important thing.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, unless you're just exiting and walking, right? Then I guess it's like whatever you get at that payday, then that's all that matters perhaps.
Yeah.
But if you care about the team that you built, right? The brand, the legacy that you've tried to establish through that over the years you ran the company, built the company, then I think the group matters a lot. And I think that decision has to be made carefully. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. Let's talk about Swift Pro. So you took a 6 month sabbatical. At 5 months, you're like, hey, I'm going to launch an HVAC company. Yep. Started, conniving your way into launching this. Walk me through why HVAC, why plumbing, like how did we land here?
Yeah, I considered a lot of different service-oriented businesses, as well as, like I said, a few other pathways. And landed like, okay, I want to build another service business. I had to find a new pathway from what I came from, right? I just sold the company. I'm not going to build a competing brand, had some non-compete stuff. So it's like, all right, what could I do? And of the options that were available, like what we had built was a residentially focused company, right? We were not doing much commercial. It's pretty much all residential. So it's like, all right, that's the world I know. So what industry would lend itself towards ticket items that are similar to roofing? In a business model that at least I thought in concept would be somewhat similar to roofing. And that's where I landed on HVAC. I also had a good friend of mine that was in HVAC actively and had kind of started his own thing for the last year and a half, something like that. And I'd watched what he was doing, so I had kind of an insider view to a small operation. And he had told me, hey, if you start something, I'm willing to shut this down and come join you. And so I was like, all right,
let's do it.
And so that's when, he was first full-time guy on the team. And he already had a helper that was willing to step in on the installs as we needed him. And then he had a couple other guys he knew that we'd hopes of getting to join the team as soon as we were ready. And so that's how we launched, man. I mean, it was messy, as you can imagine. And I didn't know what I didn't know. And even though he'd come from the industry, he'd never worked in like really established brands that had good systems and processes. And so he couldn't tell me like the design of the company, and I didn't know about things like Nexstar
like
yet.
Org structure, is that what you mean?
Yeah, just like what the roadmap even looked like,
Yeah.
right? And so I kind of just started out like, I'm going to try to build this thing like a roofing, right?
Yes.
And the challenge and the differences which are numerous, but like one,
I was going to ask how similar you felt like they were.
yeah, like there's overlap, and then they're wildly different.
Yeah.
So roofing doesn't have this extreme seasonality. And what I liked about HVAC was the service cycle. There's more service required.
Yes.
So like HVAC and plumbing, why I chose them to finish that question is primarily because I felt like if I could own HVAC and plumbing, I could own the home. And then I could, add other services if I wanted to in the future, like electrical and other things. But I was like, if I can own HVAC and plumbing, things break down a lot more with HVAC and plumbing, and there's more service requirements, maintenance, etc. And then the ticket items on the HVAC. I'm still learning the plumbing world, but HVAC side, I kind of quickly got the concept right with the equipment replacement, full system replacement in particular. And so that was the idea. And so we launched with that, and then I just went hard after trying to build out a brand, right away. I mean, we hit the ground running with reviews. That was a big deal for us right from, so we didn't care what we sold service work for as long as we get a review out of it, just go do something, help somebody get a review, right?
Yeah.
So get on the map on Google, look like a real business, right? That people could trust, so we could start selling bigger ticket items.
Yeah.
We started getting some referrals, which helped, and get us stability, but we didn't hit, our first $100,000+ month was November. I think we did like 150.
So it's like 3 months?
Yeah, it was a September, October. We're just like getting our footprint out there. I mean, like I didn't even hire,
to be honest, that feels
I didn't have a wrap fan until October.
Yeah. That feels pretty good. Like I know sophisticated operators doing like greenfield locations, and that's roughly their like roadmap to revenue.
Yeah, well, it's really, really hard. I worked with Angie a long time.
Angie, like the marketing.
Yeah. So we started out with like the Angie lead side, eventually switched to Angie Ads.
Yeah.
And they're still like our largest system replacement lead source right now.
Yeah.
I'm only a year in, right? Still building out that brand. So they're still our number one. And so I partnered with them right away.
Yep.
And that was how I started getting leads. We got a few reviews on Angie. We were building out the Google profile. And by November, we started to get traction where we were like, okay, we're actually running leads, actually selling some stuff. Yeah. At that point, I had, 2 guys that were capable of doing lead, install, or service work. And neither one is like in that role now, or like, they're more like they're still kind of flex, right? So there's upsides and downsides to that. But it was a huge benefit early on that they could flex around to whatever I needed them to on the given day.
Yeah.
November, we kind of started to hit some real revenue numbers and get some traction. And then I think it was January when we brought on like our first guy that was like full-time, just install focused, right? Where we really focused on the install side of ramping
like selling, like Comfort Advisor style.
No, just
or
like our lead installer. Like the other guy, the rest of the time it was like, today you're doing service, tomorrow you're doing commercial service, the next day you're doing this system installs. Like it was like whatever we needed on that given day. Yeah. All right, tomorrow, we don't have work today. You're coming in the office, helping me on the price book, whatever it is. Yeah.
That makes sense. Are you a part of Nexstar?
I am. Yeah.
Okay. I think I knew that at one point. I didn't remember.
Yeah.
I
got lucky. I think that I think they were having a lot of people exit from my market. Because they let me in. I am aware. I'm very lucky they let me in when they did.
I mean, I think that's
it was
great.
early this year.
Yeah.
So I've been in a while already. We went to OPEX, which was eye-opening. That was the first time I really understood the roadmap of what a company should look like.
Oh,
that was when it was like underneath the hood. Okay. Oh, next day installs. Oh, okay. It's just a lot of things that I hadn't really got, which we wouldn't have had the summer we did if I didn't at least have that part of the roadmap.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still working on implementation, right? We're far from hitting every checkbox, but because of that roadmap, we're a lot closer now. So.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, Nexstar has been a win for us too.
Yeah, and just the coaching access. There's a lot of great coaches we have access to. Example, I have our marketing manager connect with the marketing coach. There's a couple of them, digital, print, all that, and then I have our accounting person that connects with the accounting coach. So it's really helpful to get like industry insider information through a coaching lens. So
Yeah.
that was a big win. The OPEX was a huge win. We're actually going down to the budget meeting with my business coach.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I'm taking my, one of my guys down, and we're going to sit down and try to map out next year with the budget side. It'll be good to bring that back to the team and sort of get everybody's head wrapped around what next year can look like.
Yeah. Yeah. We're hosting one here. So I think
Awesome.
we have like 20 some companies popping in a couple of weeks. Yeah. It should be fun.
Yeah.
Should be fun. That's great. Okay. So we launched, that's why HVAC plumbing, why starting from scratch? Like most people are buying, right? Like most people are going to go to biz buy sell. They're going to find a broker. They're acquiring their way in. You did not do that.
No, one reason is I would argue, and I'm biased obviously because I live there. So we're in Northern Virginia, the DC metro region.
Yeah.
I think I'm in arguably the most PE saturated market in the
You've
US.
got Horizon.
I mean, everybody's there.
Yeah.
So most of the mid to larger companies have already been acquired. And so the multiples, like last summer when I would have been looking, I mean, I didn't see anything worth buying. Like the multiples were so high, is one aspect of that. And I just didn't find anything that looked, and I didn't look I know people look years, right? I looked a couple of months, I was kind of watching what was available, and I just didn't see it. And then the other thing for me is like, I kind of like, I don't know, like I like the idea of creating from scratch. I'd already done it once. Now it had a brand to build off from. I'd taken from Maryland to Virginia. It wasn't like quite like this.
You had some infrastructure,
literally
maybe.
from zero. Yeah, some infrastructure support and things. But at least I felt like I could do it. And I'd learned like solar roofing, and we'd kind of built that side up from scratch. So I was like, I just like a good challenge. I'm a glutton for punishment, I think is part of it, right? The chaos thing I mentioned earlier. So just, that factored into it. And then culture is really important to me. And I did feel like I'd have the chance from the get-go to really build the culture the way I wanted. That way, because I mean, I'm very open to acquisition for the right opportunity, especially family-owned brands that want to sell to another family brand, right? Instead of a big PE platform, right? Kind of keep it in a local family brand. I already had those conversations. I would love to do that for the right opportunity, but I just didn't see the right opportunity. Nobody knew who I was. I didn't have a background. I also didn't have a background to where a family brand would have trusted me. Like, he hasn't built anything. Who's this guy? He's from a different industry, right? And so I just felt like I had to prove myself first, right? And so we did. I mean, in the first several months were rough in a number of ways, right? We started out on Service Titan, which was really tough because they don't know what to do with somebody that's a startup.
Yeah, they don't.
They did not have a box to put me in. They gave me terrible support. It took months to get any type of traction with that. It was a nightmare. It was actually one of the hardest aspects of the business. We're still playing catch up on that. Like we're a year later and we're now finally finishing up custom built price books and stuff. It was tough. It was a really, really tough start with them and tough first year. But we're still all in and making the best of it moving forward and cleaning things up still. So that's one aspect. Another thing was recruitment was really, really tough. That'd be the benefit of buying, right? Like you get
established brands. You got a team.
Nobody knew who we were. And again, our market's very saturated. So we have a lot of big brands, a lot of really heavy hitting brands in the area. So a lot of things that made it hard. And then even like, it took me a while. I couldn't even get supplier representatives like outside sales guys to return my calls. Like it took a while. So I think we were around a month in or so. And I finally got one guy that was like, hey, I'll come and meet with him. Because again, we weren't doing any revenue to speak of. We were doing service work at that time. And he came into my office and he sat down and I laid out my vision, right? This is where I'm going to go. This is what I'm building. And he bought it. And he believed it, and he believed in me, and he went back to his boss and he battled with them for a couple of weeks, and he got me really aggressive pricing, and he took a bet.
What were you doing prior? Like over the counter, Home Depot? Like how were you getting equipment?
No. We set up accounts. I had the license and all that stuff, so we were able to set up accounts, but our pricing was terrible. We were just paying through.
You're just a house.
We had no revenue.
You're a house.
So he essentially he went to bat for me and gave me really like mid-tier aggressive pricing. You know what I'm saying? Like way better than I should have gotten. And I'm still grateful to him. And you know what? He gets a big check from me every month still. So, I buy the lion's share of our materials goes through him. Like I won't ever forget that he had my back, And so that was a rep from Ferguson actually. And so that's where we became Train dealers then. and kind of went all in on that. Now we have multiple relationships, and we're thankful for those. We have some other great representatives as well. Like I had we have a great rep from Johnstone as well, and he came and sat down. And he's like, "What do I have to do to get more?" I was like, "Well, if you'd have been here a few months ago, took my he didn't know about us or whatever. I think he might have even been new to the role. He's a great guy, but yeah, it was just funny. It was like, look, I need someone to take a bet on me, and they did, and it's paid off for both. And so. So even this year, like made some revenue prediction or made some kind of purchased predictions and negotiated really aggressive pricing for this year. And he told me, he's like, yeah, I know you're not going to hit it, but we got to give him this number. We're going to crush that number. So, I think we might've already hit it, on purchases. So no, it's done well.
I mean, vendor like partnerships are real.
Yeah,
I think there's these like
huge deal.
Yeah, it is.
You don't realize it until you're in it. Yeah. How big a deal it is. Like the support too. It's not just the pricing. Like that's one aspect of it. Now we can get a lot of good pricing from a lot of places, but it's also that level of support.
Yes.
What happens when you have warranty claims? How fast and well do they handle that? When they mess up, do they own it? Like there's a lot of aspects to it. So yeah, we have great relationships with a lot of local vendors now. We're thankful for that.
Are you still running your business on pen and paper or a clunky software? Field Pulse is the top-rated field service management platform that saves you 5 to 10 hours a week. It syncs with QuickBooks, and it puts scheduling, invoicing, and more all in one place. Field Pulse users grow 78% a year on average. Book your demo today using the link in the description and get 15% off an annual plan. Field Pulse, a field service management software for those who need more. Something that was interesting, I was talking to someone earlier today, and we were talking about like he's not in HVAC plumbing, he's in septic. And we were talking about like the competitive landscape.
Right.
And I think the competitive landscape is really interesting in plumbing HVAC because he was talking about his industry in septic, and like septic is not sophisticated, right? It's like $1 million plumber or like $1 million shops is like considered big. And it reminds me a lot of like my early career in plumbing, where like I remember like $2 million was considered big at the onset of my career. Like that was a big shop. There was only a couple in town, and there was one company at like 8, they were the big dog. And it's funny now because I'm thinking about you, like I chose to start, not buy, which I think is becoming a good playbook. I agree with everything you said. Like we're about to go regional, and we're way more attracted to starting than buying for all the reasons you said. Like, it's easier to control culture. Prices for acquisitions are like out of hand. And frankly, it would be cheaper and probably easier for me to just launch it. Like, not to say that it's easy, but it'd be easier than me dealing with like a cultural nightmare 2 hours away.
Yeah. Well, and the roadmap. I'll say that's the one challenge for me, starting from scratch and not knowing the roadmap.
Well, and we have the infrastructure backing.
Industry insiders.
It's different.
It took me a few months to kind of get good traction on the recruiting side, right? Really only in the last, we're a year in, and we're only in the last 3-4 months where we really have real traction. And now we've got a bunch of industry insiders that have joined the team and are bringing their friends, right? It's a huge deal to have that. It's a huge advantage.
It helps a lot.
Because recruiting was really tough in those early days, kind of had to take whatever we could get, in a sense, like just, okay, we gotta find someone that can plug that role.
Yeah.
So
100%. Let's talk about like early lessons. What did we learn starting off in HVAC?
That coupled with like just what I would do differently. You don't know what you don't know, right? But like memberships is a huge deal. Yeah. And I didn't understand how big a deal it was because it hadn't been that big of a deal for my exteriors background. It was just a different business model. But I think for HVAC and plumbing in particular, memberships are huge. And if you don't want to just keep paying through the nose for marketing, right? Especially in a saturated market as well. It's like, because it's like you want to keep that customer, and someone will steal it from you if you don't have a way to stay in their lives actively, right? To provide value, that is, it's like you kind of own that home, right? Where you're in there multiple times a year. And so I would have pushed a lot harder, a lot faster on that, doing it over. I now in the last 3 months understand that. And increasingly, our team is focused on that, and we have some real traction on that. But for where our revenue is going to be for this year versus our membership, it's, we're a little lopsided. So a year from now, I hope we're right-sided and we've fixed it, and we've got a really good membership base, and that's really going to be our focus. I mean, what we did well that shocked a lot of people is reviews, right? I think I don't have the count actually. I think it's like 350, 360 reviews at this time, right? So we've done well, 5-star ranking, Google, and then even Yelp, which has been a nightmare, but we finally have traction with them. We're at 19 reviews on Yelp. They remove more than they leave, that whole game. And Angie, decent amount. So we've pushed really hard on our reputation to establish ourselves. And these are real reviews. Like if you read them, most of them are, talking about their experience and actually mentioning people by name. And then we have quite a few with pictures. And so we've tried to get quality, not just quantity. Right?
The picture game is real.
Yeah.
We started a contest for that.
Nice.
And it ramps. So we've gone through like ebbs and flows of being consistent with reviews. So like when we're at our peak, we'll do like 100 a week, which like that's a lot. When we're at our like low point, we'll do like 30 a week. Yeah. So like not great for our volume. But we just did this new contest and like we started pushing, I think we're back up to like 70 a week or something. It was like, badoop, and most of them are pictures, which is
that's huge.
Like a lot of fun. So you want to talk about how you guys delivered so well on reviews?
Just emphasizing it. Yeah. The challenge for my team is like, I feel like they do one thing really well all the time. So whatever I'm emphasizing at the time, that's the one thing they focus on.
I think that's a core lesson for any field. Like you should only focus on one thing because your team will only focus on one thing.
Yeah. And there's obviously, like I said, that hurt us on like the memberships though. It's like, it's like now we're doing better on memberships and we need a little work on reviews again. So it feels like one thing is they're going to excel at, at the time. So it's finding that balance.
Well,
it's just more
you can
training.
divide it.
Yeah.
So that would be a way to think about it too. Right. Is like, how can this team focus on this and this team focus on this? Because that's what we ended up doing because we kept seeing the big swings. Yeah. So we took memberships basically out of the equation for our field pros because we wanted like reviews and sales. Like that's your job, like reviews and sales. And memberships like call center, maybe the installers, maybe someone else up the pipe should be responsible for the membership.
That's a good point. That's a great point. So
because they will only focus, like you can only give them so much to do.
Right. Well, what I would say we've done well. So we have a text chain basically with all US based people, in it. And we shout out reviews on the regular. Yeah. So anytime someone gets a really great review, especially, very detailed and mentioning people by name, then we'll share that and we celebrate that. So I do feel like as a business owner, you get more of what you celebrate. Yeah. Right. And too often we only celebrate sales, right? Yeah. Or and it's like reviews. Yeah. We just celebrated it from early on. We emphasized it. It kind of became a core part of our culture is like just.
I mean, reviews are like top 3 most important things. Yeah. Like it is kind of wild. And I think in the age of like AI and like how search is changing, right, it's only becoming a bigger and bigger deal.
Yeah. Like, in the beginning you'd search Swift Pro and the first thing that comes up is a printer. I was jokingly showing our install manager, I was like, look, even AI now, it'll say Swift Pro is 2 things. It's actually a HVAC plumbing company in Northern Virginia. And then the second thing it's a printer. I was like, we finally took number 1.
Let's go.
And even on a local Google search, you'll see like, you don't have to put Swift Pro HVAC anywhere. You just put Swift Pro and we'll come up usually number 1. So
that's funny.
So but just back to what we did well. We did well on the reviews. We've maintained. We keep coming back to that, harping on that. We did well on when I finally brought on a service manager a few months ago. Like he was shocked. He's like, "How are you doing all these installs and you have no service?" He just didn't get it. But I knew the Angie game and I knew like how to get leads and then how to sell, right? And that's what I was good at. Now we're still working on building out more of the service side, so that we keep that, again, the memberships, but also service, demand calls, all that. And so we've really focused on that in the last several months. So probably would have emphasized that sooner, if I could have. Again, you can only do so much at the same time. I mean, the other thing we did a good job of is we built a real brand. I didn't mess around. Like I outsourced that. We hired professionals. We came up with what I think is it's a great looking van wrap, and we invest a lot of money in that, and invest a lot of money in van wraps. We invest a lot of money in our website. Just wanting to look legitimate from day one. Nobody was showing up in a white van. You know what I mean? And so we looked real from day one as a real company. And so we really, I think, have done a good job for 1 year in on that. Now we're trying to build out all the socials and gain followers. And all that.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about people. So you said you've started to dial this in. You're developing better people. Walk me through the people journey.
Yeah, I think what I have found is that two things. Our best people are coming from referrals, friends of friends, essentially, right? Or at least people they know fairly well, they've worked with in the past. And that's most of our growth, most of our people growth. We're up to about 25 team members in total right now. Most of our growth and our best people have come through that.
Yeah.
Friends of friends. And now we have quite the chains going. Sometimes this friend brings this friend, and this friend brings this friend, and and it's multiple people deep. So that's been fun. And as opposed to recruiting from random, essentially, and not having that. Now, initially I was a little bit scared of that because it's like, well, what if they bring their friend and it doesn't work out, right? But the opposite has happened for us, right? As long as it's like they knew that this friend was going to be a good culture fit. Like they knew they knew what SwiftPro was. The sacrifices you have to make, the fact that we're building a brand, we're not established. The fact is that we can't be as competitive on benefits yet and things like that. But we offer a lot of opportunity, a lot of development growth, and that they can grow with the company. They could be in a completely different role within 6 to 12 months if they, work their butt off, that kind of thing. And so it attracts those types of people. So they know the people that should be coming, And so now as I've kind of gained more trust and just empowered our people and giving, in some cases, referral bonuses for key hires, that kind of thing, we've really gained traction. And so it's been to the point where we have more people that would join, and want to join as soon as we're ready for them.
Yeah.
So that's been key. And then the other thing is, I'm really big on, in this time around, it's just proved it again. It's really tough to hire leaders.
Yes.
I think the best in most situations is to promote from within. Find people you trust, and then, that have high character, that know how to do the job that they're going to lead others in, and then be able to promote them into leadership roles. And so we're doing more of that now. Like my install manager, who still has to go out to the field to do installs sometimes, has to go to troubleshooting on systems, callbacks, that kind of thing. But he was our first lead installer. And as opposed to someone I had hired for that role, like, installs run smoothly now.
Yeah.
So he knows what he needs to do to set that up for success.
Yeah.
So even though he hasn't been in that role as an installer, he knew what he always wanted. He knew what he liked from other people that have supported him in the past from other companies. And so he's helping us build that. So that's been key. And then just the importance of culture. And that's a constant battle, right? We still have a long ways to go with systems, processes, accountability, the right performance structure, like for incentive pay and that kind of thing. We're still figuring that out and navigating that. But as I've seen, with newer hires, if I can find the right incentive structure, those are the people that perform the best. And so we're really trying to dial that in and navigate our way through that, and then shift more of our team towards that model. So they're just, they're winning when the company wins, and they have more upside, to really drive the goals, whatever they're contributing to in the company.
Yeah. I think the promoting from within, like, you've walked around the office, you probably saw that.
Yeah. I've met a few people
up on some of our walls. At this point, there's only, I think there's 20 leaders or 18, maybe 2 were external hires.
Wow.
Like, into that seat. Like, obviously everyone at one point was an external hire, but directly into that seat. It is kind of interesting as it starts to snowball. I think there's like good and bad. So I want to add this caveat just as people think about this. What we found with internal hires is, one, our hit rate is better. So, like, our chance of success with an internal hire is like 9 out of 10. Our chance for success with an external hire is like 2 out of 10.
Yeah.
So, like, that's been really challenging. But you have to be able to figure out external hires too, especially in leadership, because eventually you will come up on problems that is not, no one in your business knows the answer to.
Right.
And they're core problems. Right. Like, how do you sell do you need an HVAC sales manager?
Right.
Or do you need, like, try to think of something else, like a sales trainer? Like, someone could do an acceptable job at it, but sometimes you need world-class. And I think,
100%.
I think, like, nailing that down, because when we were like 5 million, almost all of our hires were external for leadership, and some of them terrible and some of them amazing.
Right.
But I never really cracked the code on that. I mean, now it's easy because we have, like, leadership development cohorts, and we have, like, 25 people to choose from to promote. But yeah, it's harder.
Yeah. So an example would be our service manager. 32 years in the business.
Yep.
Worked for several of the largest companies in the region.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of been there, done that, learned that, right?
Yep.
So finding him was key.
Yes.
I hired, it was actually like a difficult decision for me, because I was like, is this going to fit our culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of already very set in his ways in a sense, right? And so we had several meetings about it. He came recommended from the guy I told you about the outside sales rep from person that had connected me with him. He's like, man, I know you both really well.
Yeah.
And I was like, these guys don't come available very often. He's like, I really think you should grab them, Tyler.
Yeah.
And so a couple meetings, and I finally just took a swing. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go for it. Because even my Nexstar coach was hesitant. He's like, I think you be careful, because he's probably seen it go wrong a bunch of times.
Yeah.
That was a really key hire for us.
Yeah.
I now have 6 people on my team that came from him.
Yeah.
All young, hungry, and motivated, and fit our culture.
Yeah.
And that, and then we now have, we have a list of other people through him and the other people that want to join our team when the time is right, and we can give them the right opportunity, all because of that, where it's like, we didn't have that before. So that was one of the key breakthroughs that we needed. So I would just say, now, like moving forward, my hope is that when we're not promoting from within, we're hiring through a connection that we already have that can say, this person leads with character and integrity and fits our culture. They're going to work their butt off. They're not coming to sit on a chair. They are not coming just to plug the clock 9 to 5 and go home. Like, they're going to do what it takes. They're a team player, and they understand our core values, right? Like they're in alignment rather with our core values, because it's somebody from inside that's recommending them. So that's what I hope can happen. Yeah. Because like you said, otherwise, it's a little bit of a roll of the dice. You're going to get some right, and you're going to get some wrong.
Yeah, it's really tough.
And it's really tough. The toughest thing is it takes a while to figure that out too.
Oh yeah.
Some people can come in and everything's great, and then until it's not, it's like,
Well, yeah, over time, it depends on like, where are they in the leadership stack? Is this a frontline leader or a senior leader? But like a senior leader, what we've learned is it takes like a year for them to, like, it takes less than a year for them to begin making an impact, but it takes a year for them to like drive real impact. Yeah. Like, they can make some entry level, like, hey, I'm here, all that stuff. Right. Like, a year's a long time.
It is.
That's a lot can go wrong in a year.
It's tough.
It is tough. I mean, frontline leadership is a little bit more straightforward. Like, you can usually get a pretty good pulse in like 60 days.
Yeah. And one of my keys to, key principles is what I call 3M. So I'm just really big on that I only want leaders that practice what I call 3M. So it's model, mentor, multiply. So number one, you got to be a model of what you're leading others to do. Yeah. In most cases, that means you can do the work or have done the work and you can do it well. And so you can teach that, but it's also just the work ethic, the attitude, right? That you got to be a model of that and hold the standard high. And then mentor, where you're actually willing to teach others, coach others, mentor them, to understand that, we can't just have exponential growth unless we come alongside someone and show them the right way to do it, and give helpful feedback and kind of be in it for the long term. So it's like that model, okay, watch me do it, and I'm going to model it for you. Mentor, it's like, all right, we're going to do it together. And then multiply, where they can now do the same thing. And so it's like, but if you just jump to multiplication, it's just mayhem, because if that person's not a model, for example, they're not leading from a place of authenticity. Nobody takes them seriously. Nobody respects them. They can't hold anybody accountable. Or if they don't take the time to mentor, then especially for the younger people, like, it's gonna be really tough for them to learn. They're not gonna just learn from a book. Or here's our 5 steps. Like, they need to see it, they need to get feedback on it. Right. Yeah. They need to have someone in the trenches with them. So, yeah,
this resonates. I like the way it's laid out. We mentally think of it this way. We don't like verbalize it. So this is going to be one of my like takeaways. Someone gave me this, from Nexstar. They're a Nexstar member, and they talked about, training the trainers, which like at first was like, okay, sure. Yeah. But then I was listening to Chad Peterman's podcast, which is Can't Stop the Growth. It's a great show, primarily like an internally faced show, like about how to develop his team. And he spends a lot of time on the multiplication of leaders. And like thinking through that and just thinking through like our own team, it was clear, like in some areas we've done an amazing job and in some areas we've done a terrible job of doing that. Right. Like it was a good like mirror. Because there were definitely some wins and some not, but it did help us reform how we think about leadership development, which I'd give us like a 6 out of 10 on leader. Like it's intentional. It's a real program. We are actively graduating people from it.
That's awesome.
Into leadership. I think we're on our 5th graduate now. So like it is a real part of our business. So like 6 out of 10, maybe 7. But like the big focus on multiplication was, I think, like that's our 7 to 9 of being able to, how do we like create this training program to then spit out these leaders? We did that. We did a good job of that.
Right.
What we didn't do a good job of was then continuing ed training for those leaders, this train the trainer mentality, where they turn it, where they can now like multiply themselves amongst their 90 people in the field. And suddenly we're developing more people for the cohort.
Yeah.
So that was a big lesson for us, like in the past 4 months that we really stuck with.
Yeah. No, we've got a lot to build out with that. As we said, a year in, and a lot of people joined in the last few months.
Oh, yeah.
So, we're, it's kind of,
you've got the framework, like 9 years ahead of me. So yeah, that's amazing. You launched plumbing. How quick into this did you launch plumbing? I think it's a common conversation that I see of like, when do I launch the second trade? Like you're a year in and you have 2 trades. So like clearly somewhat quick.
Right. So we were looking for a plumber because we recognized that we needed in-house expertise. We didn't want to sub it out, obviously, and HVAC guys can only do so much plumbing. Like it's something very minor because sometimes it comes up. Well, running a water line for a humidifier that we're installing on a furnace, say things like that. But like we couldn't really do real plumbing till we had a plumber. And so we had ads out. We were looking. This is somebody that came through recruiting agency. But I had a master plumber come in for an interview. And I looked at his resume and looked him up before he came. And I'm like, what in the world? This guy's got a company. And so he came, sat down, like, what happened to your company? He's like, I just shut it down. Yeah.
This happens.
He ran it a couple decades.
Yeah.
It went well. And the last few years hadn't gone well.
Too tough.
And so he'd never really built a team. He had a couple of employees at one point, but he never had like an office staff or anything like that. Yeah. And so I was like, all right. And so long story short, I ended up hiring him and then buying his brand from him and his list of customers and his phone number and his website, that kind of thing. Yeah. And so it's called the Irish Plumber. And so we haven't done a ton with it. We've done a little bit of revamping of it. But honestly, because then by the time, we tried to find more plumbers and have had a hard time getting traction until recently on that front. Nice. And so we just kind of went into maintenance mode on that. His customer list kept him busy. Yeah. And so we had the phone number and we just kind of ran with the customers we had. We converted some of them to HVAC and that was part of the goal. Yeah. We did a lot of outbound on his old customers,
Successfully or?
Moderately. I mean, he didn't have an engaged customer base. He wasn't doing any kind of regular engagement, no membership, that kind of thing. They would just call him when they needed him, right? And so it's been really up and down, but fairly steady for him. And then usually we've had one other person in the plumbing role, in the plumbing seat as well. And so and then we started to, like April, we spiked, right? April was our first month. We got over 200 in revenue. Yeah.
And this is so 5-6 months in, 7 months in.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we're like, all right, because we've been kind of hovering right around that 150 mark from November onwards, right, per month. And then April jumped and we're like, all right, summer's coming, got excited. And so I just doubled down on HVAC, right? To be honest, I put plumbing on maintenance mode. You can only focus on so many things. And I'm like, I got to scale up HVAC. And so April through the summer, I focused on scaling that up. May, we hit 300. And then June was lights out. We went almost 800 in revenue in June. It's crazy. And then July was great until the end, and then August sort of nosedived a bit, which I think across the industry experienced that. But we had a lot of really mild weather, like 70s from the end of July onwards. And so that was challenging, coupled with, I think, busy back to school month and a lot of other things. And so came down quite a bit. And so in the last 2 months in particular, I've really refocused on plumbing. I think that's going to give us long-term stability. And so we're focused on expanding expanding that right now. We're bringing another younger plumber on the team soon. Who's got pretty robust background, very hungry, willing to work nights, weekends, whatever it takes, and help grow something. Very motivated, wants to be a leader, and hasn't had that opportunity. So we're super excited about him. He's in a perfect stage of life to do this, and good background, good base to work off from. Has some good experience with underground and things as well. So yeah, we're excited about that. That's kind of where we're at right now. So plumbing is a big focus on ours right now, to really scale that up, and I think that'll help to give us more stability as well.
Yeah. One of the tools I've personally seen make a huge difference for service business owners is Quo, formerly OpenPhone. Because when you miss a call, you're not just missing a conversation, you're losing business. Quo is the modern business phone solution powered by AI that helps you stay responsive and connected. It logs calls, creates summaries, and automates next steps. From drag and drop setup to AI-powered call tags, every detail is designed to make your phone system smarter, customers happier, and your team more in sync. It's one of those tools that makes you wonder why you didn't already switch. 90,000 businesses already have. Start your 7-day free trial at the link below and get 20% off your first 6 months just for being a part of the owned and operated crew. Whoa. No missed calls, no missed customers. Well, you reinvested a lot of your early profits. What was your first year's revenue? Like first 12 months, what was first year's revenue?
I mean, we're at 3.3 since January.
Okay.
We're chasing 5. Our
goal
was
probably like 3, 6 or something.
To hit 5.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we had hit right around 350, 400 in our first 4 months.
Yeah.
September, October were virtually nothing. Right?
Yeah.
It was mostly November and December combined, I think was a little north of 300. And then September, October, a little bit in there. It was maybe just under 4.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, definitely right around what we are now, because October we did about 4. Change, so.
Okay. So someone's launching a business. What's the big piece of advice you're going to give them as they go to launch a home service brand?
I would have to say start with the end in mind. So that comes back to the first part of our conversation. I think it's really important to know your why.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you're going to go through hell to build a business. The ups and downs are real. It's a roller coaster. And the lows can be low. And you can wake up a lot of mornings like I have in this last year and be like, what the heck did I do? Yeah. Like, why am I doing this? Yeah. Or go to bed late at night, after another 14, 16-hour day, and you're putting out fires, So there's a lot of tough days, especially early on, right? And so I think it's really important to know your why. If you have a family, to include them. There was a lot of family conversations because you know what? I miss a lot with my family. I do. There's no shortcuts if you're going to build something. And so if you want to keep your family and have them not hate you, I think one key is to have them on board with why you're doing what you're doing. Yeah. That this is, and have your reasons for that. Like for us, it's part of our family legacy. We want to build a family business. My oldest son, he wants to follow in my footsteps. So there's a lot going into that for us, but whatever that looks like for you, I think is important to know your why, have your family on board, have a trusted circle, because I think one of the mistakes that can happen is you can face isolation. Entrepreneurialism, you're building something, man, it's freaking lonely. Yeah. It's going to take you a while to build a leadership roster that makes you not feel alone. Like it just takes a while, in my opinion.
Took me 9 years.
Partner.
It took me 9 years.
You start with a really great partner, and sometimes that happens, and that's wonderful. But most of the time, especially if you're the sole owner operator, it's going to take some time, man. And so I think having a few other business owners in your corner, like I know you have groups that people can be part of, I think that's key. I think it's really key. Because on the lowest of days, you need someone that you can call that'll answer your call and kind of have your back. Right? I have that. So that's a huge help to me. And then it's like, figure out the right pathway for you. Like, for example, the brand we came out with, Swift Pro, fast and professional, and then also HVAC plumbing. It fits me. I like speed. I like chaos. I like solving problems. I like responding to urgent situations. I like what we do. Do I like every aspect of what we do? No. Do I like being in a 110-degree attic inspecting a furnace or an air handler in the middle of summer? No. Like, do I like having to deal with calls at 11 o'clock at night? No. There's parts of it that are not fun. But overall, I find a lot of fulfillment in what I do, and what we're building and the brand we're building fits me. Is like, I'm all about, like, I'm always trying to become a better version of myself, and I go fast, right? Like we're trying to hit 5 million in our first year here, first full calendar year. And so I think those are key things, right? Like having that vision, the values, the why, I think is key, and knowing what you're trying to do, having your family on board, having people in your corner, and then being really clear with team members you hire about where you're going and what they're joining.
Yeah.
Like I'm very clear. He's like, I'm not going to offer you world-class benefits. I hope to. You're going to help me build something that I hope can provide you world-class benefits, but we don't have it today.
Yeah.
So don't be what you're not. But what I can give you is opportunity to grow and become something you're not today, that you can grow with me. You could become a leader in this organization. I'm not going to give it to you. You're going to earn it, but if you help me build this, then the sky's the limit. We're creating the road together. And so when you invite people into that and you're just very honest about what you can and can't do, but what the opportunity is, and you can communicate that in a compelling way, people can get behind that, get excited. Like, we have more talent than we deserve.
Yeah.
We, in terms of where we're at in a business, right?
Yeah.
We have some really great people that work for us. Honestly, like, they just take enormous pride in their work, that are just top notch. And we have them because they believe in where we're going. And they believe that this provides them an opportunity to build their career in a way that a more established brand would not be able to do. And then we lean hard into being a family brand, and most of our team members are attracted to that. Like, they want to be part of a local, kind of the best of the old world, the best family brand that also embraces technology, embraces growth, embraces, trying to be the best at what we do. Right.
Yeah.
And then them becoming that. And so yeah, like, we're like, if somebody wants a 9 to 5, it's like, look, we're not the place for you. Right. If you just want something really comfortable, if you want really secure benefits, we're not the place for you. But if you want to come build something, if you want a wild journey, if you want opportunity, if you could imagine yourself in a completely different role in 2 to 3 years, we can give you that opportunity, and you could come build it with us.
Yeah. I think that's compelling. Yeah. I think that, so it sounds like, I'm going to add on to yours just a little bit. It's knowing where, but also being able to communicate it. Yeah. Because I think that you hit it, but being able to share that is where rubber meets the road. Yeah.
My first hire, I did a 1-pager. Yeah. Like I called it the Swift Pro Manifesto. I still have that. It's still true. Right. And that really helped me to just kind of articulate in a concise fashion who we are, why we're doing what we're doing, and where we're going. Right. Yeah. And then, do you want to be part of that ride? Right. Yeah. So, like, interviews, all right, you're onboarding, like, we kind of try to embed that. We don't have as formal of a process as like you guys do and what we should yet, but we try, at least with what we have, to communicate the mission, the values, the vision, and make sure people are up for it, that they're on board. And then people self-select out. Like, we miss on the hires sometimes, and we hired a really great person for a role with a lot of experience. But very shortly into that, they realized they were not the right fit for our culture. They didn't want to work 12 hours in a day, which sometimes is required. I don't require that all the time. I'm just saying it's a whatever it takes in our company, right? Yeah. They didn't want to do that. They didn't want to be out late at night. They're like, sorry, you told me what it was, but I get, week to 2 weeks in, and I realized this is not, it's actually, I think it was like, it's like just over a week. And they're like, this is just not the fit. And they were able to self-select out. Yeah. We didn't waste a lot of time because we're really clear about what we are and what we're not. So, yeah. I think that's great. Well, thanks for coming on today. This was a ton of fun getting to dive into the journey, and I'm thankful you shared it. Yeah. Thanks, John. Appreciate it. If people want to get a hold of you, how can they find you? Yeah, I'm on most social media. I mean, obviously Swift Pro, like, we love any support and follows we can get, especially if you're in our region. So please give us a like, give us a follow on, Facebook, Instagram, etc. I'm personally on there. You can search me. I love connecting with folks on Facebook or Instagram. I'm also on Twitter. Yep. And so _ scrappy startup. Okay. That's me. And that's what this is. It's a scrappy startup, that we're building here. So would love to connect on there and hoping that can happen. But yeah, it's just fun to connect, especially with other business owners, people that are building from scratch or buying, or, just we can all learn together. Yeah. Thank you.